Okay, our Coors Light pole winner for tomorrow's 43rd annual Aaron's 499 here at Talladega Super Speedway is Jeff Godon. He drives the number 24 DuPont Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Jeff won the Coors Light pole with a speed of 191.623 miles per hour. This is Jeff's 71st career NASCAR Sprint Cup Series pole. That's third all-time in the series. And one other note, he's won at least one pole in 20 straight seasons. And that ties David Pearson for the longest all-time streak. Jeff's first pole came in 1993 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. His third pole here at Talladega. So Jeff, certainly, the list continues to grow for you in this sport, but certainly a very encouraging sign for tomorrow.
Yeah, we all know that sitting on a pole at Talladega doesn't really guarantee anything for the race, and track position is probably least important at this track as any other. Although, with cooling being at a premium, starting the race with some nice fresh air, hopefully we can maintain that for a little while. That would definitely be a positive. But to me, the biggest positive is just the fact that we've had a rough start to the season. Not a lot has gone our way other than we've had fast race cars, but not a lot of results to prove, and show for it. And to me, right now, we'll just take any kind of positive boost that we possibly can, and this is a good one. This was a great effort. There's a lot of hard work that goes into every race, but especially qualifying here at Talladega. And to see some results the way we did today is a great thing for this team, and we're going to take that and take it into tomorrow's race, and hopefully come out of here with as much positiveness as we've got right now.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll take some questions now. We'll start over here with Ed, and then we'll go to Mike, Embry, and then to Reed. Go ahead, Ed, and Nate.
Jeff, with a crapshoot race coming up for yet another Hendrick try at a 200th win, has this 200th win thing almost become kind of a, psychological, a burden to this team since y'all have been trying for so long? And also, would a win for you or any of your teammates tomorrow, would that turn a corner for both your team and Hendrick Motorsports as a whole, or have y'all still got a lot of work to do, both the 24 and HMS as a whole, even if you win a race tomorrow?
Sure. One win is not going to turn our entire season around, but it's definitely something that we would welcome. Anything, like I said, anything positive would be a great thing for us. To kind of kill two birds with one stone and get that 200 out of the way. Everybody at our organization, wants it. Is working hard to get it, and every weekend I feel like one of us has an opportunity at getting it, and why it hasn't happened yet is a little bit of a mystery. For whatever reason, some the things just haven't worked out to get that 200. But I know we're on the brink of it. Tomorrow, any one of us can get it done, and I can just tell you that while every team at Hendrick Motorsports wants it, for Rick, and knows that there's a lot on the line for it. The rest of us, whoever, if one of us gets it and the other, we'll all be relieved. That we can say, thank goodness we got to 200, and we can take the focus off of that, because, our focus needs to just be on going and performing and getting the best results we can and getting geared up for a championship.
Real quick follow-up on that. Back in January, media tour at Hendrick, when y'all were all sitting on the stage and Rick said that he would be very disappointed if you didn't get all four cars in the chase, and very disappointed if you didn't win the championship, kind of looked like all across the stage there was just a little bit of a double take, like tall order there. When you look back, was that a tall order, and could that have had any kind of
No, that has nothing to do. Rick, he can say those things and get away with it, because we know that there's a part of him that is smiling when he says it, but at the same time he knows what our organization is capable of. And when you've had the success that our organization has had, then you constantly are held up to high expectations, not only internally but from outside, and so we totally understand that going into every season.
Let's go to Mike Embry. Raise your hand, Mike, and then we'll go to Reed and then to Nate.
MikeEmbrySpeed.com. Jeff, without giving away...
Where are you at, Mike?
Here.
Sorry.
Without giving away nuclear protocols or anything, talk about your approach to qualifying today. There was a big buzz about a different approach, et cetera. What about that?
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday, and to me, every time we come here to Talladega, especially right now, because just trying to cool the system down. We've got the pressure relief valve, all those things that we're trying to deal with. This is an impound, so you're trying to manage those. The temperatures are being managed from the moment that car goes on the track yesterday until the end of that race tomorrow. And so even in qualifying, we're trying to manage them and not get them too hot. So, we chose to do that bottom lane because we feel like it saves about 3 seconds of time, which is, how much longer the engine's running, building temperature. And we feel like it's not that we could run more tape. It's just that sometimes when the temperature gets too hot, the engine loses power. So we're just trying to maintain maximum power all the way to the end. Plus, I feel like this track's big enough you don't have to run up high like Daytona. It's a different beast than Daytona. And I don't know if it would have made a big difference, but I felt like the temps were just right. And obviously we sat on the pole, so I also knew it'd give DW and them something good to talk about up there, because they were all talking about that being, somebody ran like a 59. Oh, that's the fastest lap. I said, oh boy, what are they going to say when we run our lap?
Let's go with Reed and then Nate.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. So, are you saying that you didn't run fully taped, and did the draw make any difference at all?
I don't know anybody that ran fully taped. I will say the 22 and the 2 were the ones taped up the most that I saw, and when the 22 ran as fast as he did, I looked at it, and Alan and I talked about it, and we're sitting there on the grid trying to figure out if we're too far open, not open enough. It's hard to really. We were paying attention to our teammates and their temps as well. And we even on the line, we were debating moments before I went out whether I run the high line or the bottom line. And so, we weren't taped up solid. I don't know of anybody that could tape up solid. These are long laps, big track, and so, it's. I mean, everybody knows the openings are probably like 1/8 or something like that.
Let's go with Nate and then Monty.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Jeff, you mentioned how important the cooling stuff's going to be, and it seems like everybody's talking about that. Everybody's expecting like 90 degrees tomorrow, but yet NASCAR didn't make any changes at all in terms of the rules with the cooling systems. Does that surprise you at all, and do you think it's going to have a big effect tomorrow? Do you think it's going to have a bigger effect than at Daytona?
I definitely think it's going to have a big effect. The one thing that I am a little bit concerned about is that we didn't run in big packs yesterday. And so across the board, there weren't a lot of guys complaining about temperature, including ourselves, but it was because we never really were in a big pack like we're going to be in tomorrow. And I don't think we really saw just how difficult it's going to be to maintain those temps. The guys that were pushing, they definitely saw it, and there's some big concerns. Basically our entire race for 400 and 98 miles, is going to be managing temperatures the best that we possibly can. And I think it's going to be, the last thing you can do is you cannot pop that valve off. You pop that valve off, you start losing water, and you're in trouble. And you're going to have to come in and put water in it and all those things. So you have to stay below that cutoff line, and you can sometimes it catches up to you in a matter of seconds, and you're watching. I just watch the water pressure because that's the most important gauge now. Where the pop off happens is around 30 pounds, I think, and so when that happens, boy, you better get out into some clean air as fast as you can.
Monty?
Monty Dutton, Gas Gazette. As it ends up, this ends up being a little bit of a follow-up to Nate's question, but is there, we know that there's, big danger of overheating when you're bump drafting. But when you're running in a pack and everyone's that close, is there any danger of overheating just from running close and not being in free air?
That's what we're talking
Well,
about.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
so it's not just pack racing. It could string things out. You
Well,
have to.
Yeah, here's the the difficult situation NASCAR is in. In order to keep us from tandem drafting, we have to cut down those openings to where they are now. Now this is Daytona, because that prevents us from tandem drafting. So that's why we're where we're at, and the pop-off valve being in the location, or at the level that's at, all those things. And at Daytona, we were able to manage the temperatures pretty well in the pack, because it was cooler. It was a night race, ended up being a night race, but it was just cooler in general. But we come here and it's warmer, and it's just a big track where we can get 3 wide very easy. And when you get a couple rows back, very little air is moving through that radiator. So the opening, is really it's at the proper width and height for tandem drafting, but it's not at the proper width and height for just regular drafting.
Which brings me to what was going to be my original question, which is over. Don't you think it's sort of odd if the basic policy from the government body is either race the way we want you to or your engines will fail? I mean, it's enforcement by.
Yeah, but I feel like every rule in the rule book challenges us, to push the limits and to race within the rules and plan our strategy and how I drive the car and everything else to figure out how to finish first at the end of the day. So I think the second that one rule started being enforced was a step in that direction. So I don't feel like this is really any different than the last 60 years plus of NASCAR racing.
Jenna?
Jenna Fryer, AP. You talked about when you came in about small victories and anything that can get your season turned around. When you're off to a start like this, do you question everything yourself, the team, or are you able to pinpoint what's got to get better?
Well, like I said, we've run good. We've had great race cars this year. So to me, that's step one. And when your cars are running good, then it's nice to check that off your box, because that's the hardest thing there is to do in this sport, is have fast race cars. So I think that sure, you question things. It's frustrating, and you wonder, gosh, what do we have to do? What do I personally have to do? Or you question, the entire commitment and direction, but that's why it tests you, as to who you are and as an individual as well as a team. And the nice thing is, and I credit Alan a lot with this, he's a great leader and he's a positive guy, and he's keeping the glue together to keep this team upbeat and positive through what we've been through. You don't always have the answers as to why you struggle and why things don't come together, but I will say that surviving this is going to make us a lot better and stronger, and thankfully, because of the chase, we you got to remember what did we do? Go back 8 years or whatever when we said, "Oh, the chase cost me a championship or two." Now you can say that the chase is what's keeping us in this championship. And so, we're going to try to take advantage of the flip side of it right now and focus on, wins and getting ourselves, getting in the top 10 is a tall task. It's not unsurmountable, but it's a tough one. But getting 2 to 3 wins, I think we're capable of doing it. And I think a lot of people go, "What? You're crazy. Look where you're at in points and the way you've been finishing." But the results for our team have not. The performance is not added up to the results, and so we're very capable of winning races.
Any further questions for Jeff?
If we were running bad, then I'd be sitting here underneath this table right now. If we're that far back in points because that's where we're running every week. Oh my goodness, we'd be cutting our wrists. That's when you really start questioning everything that you're doing, and that's when you go, oh my God, do I have what it even takes? You know, what are we doing as a team? Everything. So, you know, I'd rather have this issue where we're running good and we just got to put the races together. I don't believe in bad luck. I don't. You know, I feel like you make your own luck. I feel like because if that were the case, that means that when you win races, you're doing it because you're lucky. And I don't think people win races because they're lucky. You know, they put themselves in position. They had to have good pit stops, good strategy. You know, maybe the fastest car doesn't always win, but maybe it's a guy that took the risk at put himself in a position to do it on fuel mileage and he won. That's not luck. You know, there was enough fuel in the tank to make it. And that's just being risky. And sometimes you got to be risky. Some days you got to rely on the speed. Other days you got to rely on the pit crew. Some days you got to rely on the driver. But on most days, it's all those things together that win races. And that's why I don't believe in, you know, just being. I mean, I guess if we're 43 cars driving along and I drove over, you know, a little pinhead that poked, you know, a hole in my tire, then I would say, oh, that was pretty unlucky. But the stuff that's been happening to us is not luck.
Brand, off here to the left.
Jeff, this is a little bit off topic, and I apologize, but the junior's off to a strong start this season. What part, if any, do you think that the crew chief change has helped with that?
Well, I think they make a good combination. I felt that, you know, from the beginning of this move, I felt like universally this was a positive move for the organization. And you know, with Junior, Steve, you know, and I been friends for a long time. And you know, I loved working with him. And I knew that if you look at Junior's personality, that Steve could, you know, really, because Steve's just this outgoing, talkative guy, very positive, and he can go and build that relationship that it takes with Junior, which I think a lot of times can be very intimidating, can be very difficult to kind of break through that shell, you know, that he has. And I think Steve has a kind of personality that can break through, and I think it's really starting to pay off now and how they built that relationship up, and they're following it up with good race cars, good pit stops, you know, and you know, now building on that of good results, and that's what it takes.
Any more questions for Jeff? Jeff, congratulations on the
Thank you.
Coors Light Pole Award, and good luck tomorrow.